Is it a crash? No, it is not a crash. Again, this is something I've been trying to get yourselves ready for over the past year or so when the psychology turns. There are certainly a great number of factors causing house prices to fall at the moment. Well, hi again everybody. You might have seen some reports in the newspapers recently regarding house prices falling by 18% in Auckland. This is one of the things I've been warning about for quite some time. Housing markets move in cycles, and although people like to think it's the economic fundamentals that will drive them, it's mainly the fundamentals that will start an upward leg or start a downward leg, but it's the whole psychology of the change which really gets the ball rolling, and this sort of example of an 18% fall in prices is just one of these sort of psychological feeding upon itself situations. House prices in Auckland have not fallen by 18%. In fact, they've only declined about 5% from their peak. Maybe they're back to where they were in about September last year. There's a whole range of different price indicators out there, and the only numbers I look at are those produced by the REINZ, developed in conjunction with the Reserve Bank, where they make adjustments for the change in the mix of the houses that are sold from one month to the next. And the 18% decline simply reflected the fact that in the most recent month, there were a lot of small units, little townhouses, apartments sold, so the overall median or the average went down. And that's not the normal situation. A different mix is what happened when we saw the peak in the house prices back late last year. So just be aware that the media have switched very quickly from highlighting house prices are up 25%, 30% from a year ago. Isn't this terrible? Think about the young people, and obviously one does think about the young people and people trying to buy. But now they've switched around to, oh my goodness, isn't it terrible? The prices are falling out of bed. Is it a crash? No, it is not a crash. Again, this is something I've been trying to get yourselves ready for over the past year or so when the psychology turns. There are certainly a great number of factors causing house prices to fall at the moment. Interest rates are going up, the net migration flows are outward. Again, one of the things I warned about, forecast of net migration losses. I see one group out there are now predicting a loss of 20,000 this year. It feeds into the psychology. The credit crunch underway since the second half of last year, not really alleviated all that much by the recently announced changes to the Credit Contracts and Consumers Finance Act. And that's the sort of thing I can tell from my latest survey of real estate agents all around the country. We've still got the buyers basically stepping back from the market, waiting to see what is going to happen, but there is no flood, no big wave of vendors, of sellers coming through. The monthly survey I do with Crocker's Property Management tells me that the investors are quite happy, quite frankly, with their investments. They see good demand for rental property, rising rents, lots of talks about rental property shortages, etc. So there's no big wave of selling coming through. And in order to get a price crash, you need more than just you and I as buyers stepping back for a bit to see what will happen. You need a lot of distressed sellers. And I do not believe that's what we're going to see this cycle. And one reason, of course, is people have made some pretty good gains. It's been a good asset to hold on to, but also I do not believe we're going to see interest rates going to crunching sort of levels. To repeat something I've said previously, the Reserve Bank's intention when it raises interest rates is to get you and I to pull back on our spending. We are already pulling back aggressively on our spending. As we can see, our money does not stretch as far. We've got uncertainty about China's lockdowns. We've got uncertainty about Ukraine, etc. I think the Reserve Bank is going to get the restraint that it wants, which will eventually get inflation back between 1% to 3%, without having to push interest rates up aggressively. So I'm still looking at the peak for the 1 year fixed mortgage rate, probably 5.5%, something like that, subject exactly to what happens internationally. And again, with good job security out there, 165,000 people able to apply for the special residency visa, the migrants, etc. And also housing construction costs have risen 14% last year, probably going to do the same this year. This is a correction in prices. It's not a crash. If I were a buyer, I probably would still be actively engaged in the market, but as I've said previously, I'll be looking to tick a few more things off the list of stuff I want in my desired property. All the best out there.